And that's how fast it was growing. Just taking over the trees, just one after the other.
Tonight on the NewsHour, taking the stand in her own defense, what she says happened on the day of the devastating Sockeye Fire.
A welcome sight, but find out why Alaska may not be taking advantage of all the opportunities tourism has to offer the state.
If you think you can't get all your vegetables in Alaska, then you are wrong. We'll show you why. Coming up on Roadtrippin.
Plus, paving the way for pavement solutions, how a newly installed road surface could keep the potholes at bay.
The NewsHour starts now.
You're watching KTUU Channel 2 Anchorage, Alaska's news source. And now, the Channel 2 NewsHour from the state's #1 news team.
Welcome to Juneau.
A greeting that will get more and more common across the state as tourism season picks up.
Well, while it brings more people here, it also brings challenges to a state struggling with a budget deficit.
Good evening, everyone. Even though there are 4 cruise ships towering over downtown Juneau right now and lots of money changing hands, some policymakers say the influx of business does nothing to help state government's financial problems.
Oh, they say this is because of something dubbed the Great Alaska Disconnect, while others see it as irony and the possibility of state government giving money with one hand and taking it back with the other.
Channel 2's Austin Baird joins us to explain all that. Austin.
Blake and Maria, there really is plenty of irony to go around here in the capital these days. The ships are here, the streets are full, and everywhere you look, money is changing hands.
Okay, great. You're in the right spot.
Okay.
Right now, we're kind of gathering underneath this awning right here.
A yearly tourism boom that is, of course, good news for Juneau businesses and for a local government that largely runs on sales tax revenue.
They call it the Great Alaska Disconnect.
But for politicians up the hill in the state capital, since there's no statewide income or sales tax, new jobs and more people actually just dig a hole in the state budget.
We're very excited about growing Alaska, but if we grow Alaska with this disconnect, becomes very challenging, because with growth comes, you need additional public safety, you need more schools, you need more public services.
This disconnect is one of the biggest reasons cited by the governor and House Democrats as they push for a progressive income tax.
An income tax will just directly hit the working people out there.
On the other hand, Republican lawmakers are focusing on another irony.
How do they know when they should hire their 45 to 60 people over at Revenue?
Under the plan supported by House Democrats and Governor Walker, state government would send Alaskans a permanent fund dividend check and then tell them to send a check back to state government to pay for their income tax. A process that would require hiring dozens of workers and would cost millions of dollars every year.
So here's what's funny. We're going to kill our economy with $5 billion in our CBR.
Plus, Republicans say, why tax at all when you still have $5 billion in a savings account and a $2.7 billion deficit? Now, beyond the policy disagreements over an income tax, let's look at the politics of how this is really all coming together. So really, the issue of whether or not to tax has this Capitol building right now pretty much at a standstill. Today, there were no significant meetings held in public, none at all. Beyond that, it's just 1 week until the constitutional 121-day deadline arrives. That's when lawmakers have to be done with the regular legislative session, unless they pass an extension or call a special session. So we'll be back at 6:30 to talk a little bit more about that, even though it is impossible to say how this is all going to unfold over the next few weeks. We will take a look ahead at what at least this week looks like it's going to hold. Blake and Maria.
All right, thanks so much, Austin. Here's the impact tourism does have. Alaska doesn't just benefit from tourists spending money in our state. The industry also supports thousands of jobs. The latest numbers available from the Alaska Visitor Statistics Program track tourism from October 2014 to September 2015. In all, there were more than 39,000 full and part-time jobs that help support the tourism industry. Half of those jobs were in South Central, and a little more than a quarter were in Southeast. In all, more than 2 million people visited the state between October 2014 and September 2015. About 48% of Alaska's visitors come by cruise ship, with 47% traveling to the state by air and the rest going either via the highway or the ferry. And all of those cruise ships mean money for municipalities. Head to KTUU.com to see how much money different areas of the state made from the commercial passenger vessel excise tax. Since 2007, Skagway received more than $34 million, the largest amount. Juneau is second highest at $21 million. You can also see which places got the most cruise ship visitors.
It's a plan to help Alaskans grow the state's economy. It includes ways to develop economic policies while making informed funding decisions for the state and industry. As Channel 2's Samantha Angaig tells us, a draft of a 5-year strategy plan was shared in front of business leaders today at the Denina Center. Samantha?
Well, Blake, a draft of the plan was presented, but not before Governor Bill Walker set the stage discussing the fiscal challenges ahead of the state.
Anchorage GMB downtown closed. Anchorage AvTech office closed. Anchorage UAA Engineering Greenhouse closed. Eagle River Job Center closed. Haines Public Health Center closed. Wrangell Public Health Center closed. Cordova Public Health Center closed.
That is just a partial list of closures Governor Walker says keeps growing every day as a result of budget reductions. He also reiterated his position on implementing a broad-based revenue source. Now, those involved in developing a 5-year strategy to grow the state's economy say there is no one silver bullet that will lead to economic prosperity.
There are a lot of parts and pieces to put into place that lead to economic prosperity. And my hope is that through this report we've outlined a number of those and are able to embark on achieving them and growing Alaska's economy.
Now, to take a full look at the report findings, it is posted on Northern Opportunity's website. They are also taking public comment for the next 30 days. Blake?
All right, thanks, Samantha. Amy DeWitt and her now husband, Greg Immig, are charged with starting the Sockeye Fire. Today, an emotional DeWitt took the stand to tell her story.
It was scary as hell. Everyone, all of us, we went through the same thing.
Amy DeWitt testified for about 3 hours Monday, explaining to the jury exactly what happened through her eyes on the weekend of June 15, 2015. DeWitt claims on the day of the fire, the burn pit the Division of Forestry believes to be the origin of the fire was cold and showed no signs of burning. Although during cross-examination, she did acknowledge that no tools were used to make sure the fire was put out and that nobody obtained a burn permit. DeWitt says within a minute of spotting the fire, she called 911. 5 minutes later, Immig, DeWitt, and her then 17-year-old son loaded into their RV to escape the quickly advancing flames.
We needed to go. It was very fast, just as everyone has said.
Do you think if you had stayed, you could have fought that fire?
Never, no. When it was, when it was smaller and I was out here, there was nothing I could do. There was nothing anybody could have done,
They identified the fire pit.
DeWitt wasn't the only person called to the stand Monday by the defense. Chris Warren, an independent wildland fire investigator specializing in origin and cause, was brought in to review the Division of Forestry's investigation. He says the state's evidence lacked detailed documentation and is insufficient.
Could you have arrived at any conclusion as a result of the state's evidence?
Based on the documentation and evidence that was provided to us, no, we could not. We felt that there was not enough information to arrive at a conclusion.
The Sockeye Fire trial resumes tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. in Palmer. Now, it's a concoction of concrete, but find out how it's playing a big part in reducing road repairs.
Picking vegetables in her backyard from ground to plate, Rebecca Posh explores a family farm in Homer. Let's find out where Travis Cacciatorian is heading on his road tripping adventure. An innovative design meant to make our roads last longer is officially hitting the streets. Channel 2's Beth Burge is live in the field right now. And Beth, tell us about this invention.
Yeah, Maria, so we've actually been following this story for a while now. I think Blake actually might have reported on it last year, but today is a big day because this concrete has finally hit the streets. And this is actually a special mixture, so you can see that it's concrete. It's mixed with some steel for strength and also some rubber, some recycled rubber for flexibility. But what you can't see is that there are a bunch of cables in here that are going to send second-by-second data to researchers so they can figure out if this is indeed the solution to our road ruts. Potholes, cracks, ruts, all making for a
game of Frogger on Alaska's roadways, big and small.
It's really a safety issue.
That was UAA professor Osama Abaza. He says a new roadway material made of concrete, steel fiber, and rubber could be the solution to pavement problems across the state.
I've tried so many additives. Finally, I've landed on using the rubber, which comes from waste tires.
It's been tested in labs and a UAA parking lot, but on Monday, with the help of the Department of Transportation, it's being installed for the first time into an Anchorage street.
Lifetime research, which is really wonderful to see that the applied research we do in our labs at UAA is really out there.
A section of Abbott now utilizes the new concrete. Cables hidden inside will send data to researchers every second for the next 3 years.
And we want to see what would be the responses of that material with the live traffic.
As Abaza, his team, and DOT figure out if the mixture would be suitable for more spots in the last frontier.
We're going to be able to give an answer to the question whether this is going to be really the material we need to look for in Alaska for the future.
Now, Abaza says the cost of this is going to be about 1.5 times the cost of what we usually use on our streets. But in the long run, it would actually be cheaper because the new material could last for decades rather than 5 to 6 years. And as for what's going on behind me, this is going to remain closed for about a day or so as they fill this in, and then traffic will be moving.
Very good. Thanks, Beth. Exciting.
Very
These
exciting.
new inventions.
Yeah, I saw when they were doing the testing in the lab a little while back, and it's very promising and, again, very exciting driving on the roads, all those ruts. I like what's going on here.
Now it's the rest of the story. We'd like to do that. Follow up.
All right, today is Rebecca Paulsh's last day road tripping.
She's going to miss the people and especially all that food from this trip.
Which is why it's fitting that her final story is from Homer. It involves a big meal.
Hello from Homer. This is one of my most favorite places in the state. The people and the views are just absolutely spectacular. And as we learned, it's the people here, the farmers, who are doing something just as impressive as the views. Up Olson Mountain Road in Homer.
This is spinach. It's cold hardy.
It's finally starting to look like spring.
And then this is Napa cabbage.
And Emily Garrity,
this is irrigation tape, so this is how we water,
is busier than ever.
It's a lot of work.
She has 1.5 acres of land but can grow more than 20,000 pounds of produce. She has pigs, a steady stream of fresh eggs, and if you really want to get her talking, ask about...
So this is the passive solar greenhouse.
Being a farmer.
We do a mixture of potting soil and compost and natural amendments, which is bone meal, blood meal, and green sand to give the plants kind of a healthy start.
Emily got her start farming when she was a teenager, and her love for it kept growing as quickly as the kale in the greenhouse.
I fell in love with working with plants and working in the soil and being outside every day.
And in Alaska, that can be challenging because, well, it's kind of obvious.
I get that a lot. You farm in Alaska? I'm like, yeah, we eat. We still eat in Alaska.
It's these passive solar greenhouses that make it happen. Plus, Emily does all the labor by hand, no big machines.
For some reason, in Homer alone, we have more high tunnels per zip code than anywhere in the nation.
It makes a difference.
The taste is different. Perfect.
Cooking with food picked just a few minutes before it's eaten.
You're still eating a living plant. You have the most nutrients you possibly can.
Just try it. That freshness. One reason why one of the most popular restaurants in town.
I think that people really just feel the work that goes into what we make. And that feels really good.
Always buys what Emily is selling.
Oh, it's so much tastier. It really is. Makes all the difference.
From savory to sweet, Emily does it all on a farm.
It feels really good.
That continues to grow.
To me, this is a really, really important job.
And we want to thank Emily at Twitter Creek for spending so much time with us, especially as she's just starting to get into her busy season. And also thank you so much for making us lunch. And for our viewers, we will have that recipe on our website, KTUU.com. In Homer, Rebecca Paulsha, Channel 2 News.
Look forward to that.
Yeah, looks like she had a lot of fun road tripping.
Oh, yeah, it was a great trip.
And now let's head out to Channel 2's Travis Cacciatorian, who's settling into his week of road trip in Alaska.
Hey, Travis, I hear you're already making yourself pretty much at home on the road. Is that right? You look like you are.
Very comfortable out here, Maria and Blake. I'm already digging this assignment. I'm at the Seaview Cabins right now in Anchor Point. I wanted to give you a quick tour of where we're staying, or where we have been staying, for not only myself, my photojournalist, my news producer. We've all been staying here in this nautical abode. But enough of that. The real adventure is outdoors, as we all know. And today, that took us across Cook Inlet to Lake Clark National Park for some bear viewing. Now, across the lake, that's 36 nautical miles by the way of a boat, making for a smooth trip across the waters because there was only a light breeze today. Now, we had to leave at about 6:30 this morning due to low tide, hoping to catch as many bears as we could find on the shore digging for clams. Now, we caught up with the National Park Service to learn more on why this is a special bear viewing area.
So we do coastal bear counts on our coast twice a summer. We have counted well over 200 bears on an annual count. And for Lake Clark, the highest density of bears is in Chinitna Bay.
So we actually just got back from Chinitna Bay, and Maria, Blake, I actually saw 8 bears out there roaming around in the wild, and it wasn't just bears. It's pretty wild out there. I saw a whole slew of wildlife. We got all this tape. That's why I'm so excited that we'll get it all edited and ready for you tomorrow.
That's so exciting. So what else did you see? You said you saw bears. What other wildlife did you see out there? What can folks look forward to in the national park there?
Oh, well, as on the boat trip over, we were just expecting smooth sailing, and then all of a sudden we started seeing the gulls swarming, and then we started seeing sea lions popping up, and before we knew it, there was a whole pod of humpback whales swimming around. So it was spectacular, and once we got to the park, it even got better.
So Travis, I got to ask you, this is your second time road tripping. Last year, I remember you went to Denali. You brought like a little roller bag out there with you. What'd you learn from last year that helped you prepare this year? And did you bring the roller bag?
I did not bring the roller bag this time around. I was thinking, I mean, it's a very utilitarian device to bring, but no, I did not bring that. I've learned a bit more. I'm a little bit more settled in, and I can tell you I'm excited for road tripping this year, because based on what I got to see last year, I could only know that this year is going to be that much better.
Oh, yes, and it's turning out to be nice weather. It was raining quite a bit this morning, right? And now it's beautiful weather in Homer.
Oh, beautiful out today. There was a little bit of drizzle, and we were worried about the waves or the potential chop on the water. But, you know, if you look at it right now, I'm not feeling any breeze. The water looks spectacular. We got probably about 50 degrees on me right now, so I'm hoping for a good week.
Okay, enjoy every minute. Thanks, Travis.
Thanks, Travis. Not jealous at all.
Not at all.
Gosh.
Just a little bit.
You can see all of Rebecca's road tripping stories on our website, ktuu.com. As Travis takes the reins this week, we'll keep our website updated.
Plus, we're also featuring some of your best shots. If you're headed out of town on your own road trip and adventure, or have a favorite picture from past trips, we want to see them. And if it doesn't just have to be pictures from the road, it could be planes and trains and boats. They're all great, just as well.
You can upload them to ktuu.com by clicking the Submit Photos or Videos link. And we've already got some great pictures you took while taking a break from your trip. Gorgeous scenery, unique stopping points, and some wildlife too.
Very good. Look forward to it.
Now, a few minutes ago, Rebecca told us about a woman who farms in her backyard. But if that's not your style, you can always buy produce for a cause.
It's an annual fundraiser that goes toward helping children regardless of their family's ability to pay for their medical care.
Now, the Alaska Shriners are selling Vidalia onions and condiments to raise money that will be used to run its temple. For $75, you can purchase a 50-pound bag of onions or a 10-pound bag for $15. The group says it's sponsoring more than 330 children in Alaska by sending them to Portland for physical ailments like cleft lips, burn scars, and scoliosis.
It's all done out of love of our heart, because children basically are our future, and we got to take care of them. So that's what Shriners do.
The group says it runs out of the products in about 4 to 5 days, and I vouch for that. Go right away. So you might want to head over to the temple at 1930 East Northern Lights Boulevard to ensure you get what you want. I get the onions, I get the dressing, and the salsa.
They're pretty good, huh?
Oh, they're wonderful. And it's a good cause, really good cause.
All right. What to expect from lawmakers in Juneau this week?
Coming up, Channel 2's Austin Baird joins us again with an update on what's happening in the Capitol.
But first, the region is looking a little greener. Buds on the trees, tulips about to open. It is May in Alaska, and I have your forecast.
Play Roadtrippin I Spy. Enter today's keyword at KTUU.com for a chance to win. Now, Channel 2 weather with meteorologist Jackie Purcell.
Good evening, everyone. Spring's a little slower to swing in northwest Alaska. This photo, they're just waiting for spring in Kobuk. But we have some exciting pictures to show you out of Eagle. The Yukon River breaking up last week, pulling away from shore. Ann and Gary Millard, thank you for sending us that photo. And the Yukon River, ice went out at Circle today, and around the Tanana area, they do report that there is a open lead forming where the Tanana River pushes into the Yukon. So breakup is underway, and so far, no major problems. As far as the last couple of hours, we've had some blue sky out there, definitely have clouds. We'll see a little less of those clouds here into the second half of the week. But it has been a nice day, and our temperatures currently from Ted Stevens Anchorage International Airport, 53 degrees. Winds are still breezy there at 18 miles per hour out of the south-southeast. We do have steady barometric pressure, and our air quality is good from the Anchorage area out toward Eagle River. A high temperature at 57 degrees, above average. But check out 1981. Yes, it was a very warm one. They hit 71 degrees. And a chilly one from 1964 down to 20 on this May date. Here's a look at that spin of low pressure into the Gulf of Alaska. It will continue to weaken. We'll see some high pressure push in, but that's going to be another couple of days. We also have another area of low pressure coming off the Kamchatka Peninsula that will provide more active weather, more winds, more rain for sections of the far western Aleutians. And cloud cover dipping down across the northwest and to the northern portion of the state could touch off some spring snow flurries. Into southwest Alaska, it'll just be some widely scattered showers. For south central, we still see those showers across the Kenai Peninsula and through Prince William Sound, and that will probably be another couple of days before the big change occurs. For much of the interior, some scattered showers developing into the afternoon and evening hours, and by tomorrow, those could be some scattered thunderstorms into the afternoon. Here's a look at the forecast. We're going to move that low pressure away, kind of lingering low pressure in a trough into the interior, but it's high pressure that will begin clearing the skies from the west by Tuesday. So we're looking good as we move into the current temperatures. 60 degrees in Fairbanks, 62 currently in McGrath, with now upper 20s showing up along the Arctic slope, 35 and above the freezing mark from Kotzebue across the west coast and out through the Aleutians. Juneau, you're at 47 here in the last hour, and our south central temperatures are also into the 50s, but we're picking up 60 degrees out of the Talkeetna area here in the last hour. It'll stay pretty nice around much of the region with clouds and just a few showers. Might see the sunshine here and there. And for the Matanuska-Susitna Valley, mostly cloudy with a few sprinkles. Still low temperatures to the upper 30s around Kenai and Soldotna, right around the 40-41 degree mark for Palmer and Wasilla. Also the Anchorage area with just a slight chance of rain showers. Here's a look at our 7-day forecast. We continue to move upward as far as the temperatures as we clear out the clouds. We're looking good on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, with sunshine moving in. Overnight low temperatures will be into the 40s, well, anywhere from 35 to 42 degrees. So that's something to be happy about as we start off our Monday. We'll see those mostly sunny skies moving in as high pressure returns. And yes, your studded tires really should be off by now. We'll have more in the forecast coming up later.
All right, we'll see you then. Thanks, Jackie. And coming up, changing his plea.
How long a man accused of murder could spend in prison and why the mother of the victim insisted on a particular sentencing date. Police say a man in Sitka turned himself in for killing his girlfriend over the weekend. According to Sitka police, Ruben Yerkes confessed to the crime in the lobby of the police station just after 3 a.m. Saturday. KCAW-FM reported that the victim was identified as 28-year-old Allie Nicole Clayton. Officers found the victim with multiple gunshot wounds to the head at the apartment that the couple shared. According to the report, Yerkes told police that the two had been drinking at a friend's party and then got into an argument on their cab ride home. Yerkes said that Clayton started hitting him in the face before he retrieved a handgun from the bedside table and shot her. He said the two had been dating for 2 months.
Today, Fairbanks police identified a suspect in a homicide last week. They say Joseph Van Sarabi is considered armed and dangerous and should not be approached. He's about 6'1", 185 pounds with brown hair and eyes. Late Thursday night, police responded to a report of shots fired on the 1200 block of Bunnell Street. Carlos Alberto Zuniga died at the scene. Police say anyone with information about what happened or where the man suspected of killing him is should call 459-6800.
A change of plea in a murder case of a man accused of cutting his ankle monitor before shooting 2 people in 2 separate cases in 2015.
That on or about June 22, 2015, at or near Houston, Alaska, Joshua J. Beebe knowingly engaged in conduct that resulted in the death of Christopher Seaman.
Joshua Beebe pleaded guilty to second-degree murder in exchange for dropping his other counts related to the Seaman murder. The deal says he will be sentenced to 60 years with 25 suspended and no possibility of parole. Seaman's mother attended the change of plea today and says she's glad the case didn't go to trial so she wouldn't have to relive her son's death. But she also says she wanted Beebe's sentencing date to be significant.
My son's birthday is August 17th. Joshua Beebe was arraigned on my son's birthday, and I want him sentenced on his birthday, and that's when his sentencing will be.
Walters says although she would have liked to see a longer sentence, she hopes Beebe will use his time in jail for rehabilitation.
And we'll be right back with the second half of the News Hour right after this.
On Deadline, what lawmakers are expected to consider this week as the end of their session grows closer.
All about the Arctic, why this week is a shining spotlight on that region, and how you can learn more.
Plus, multiple warnings about the now former National Security Advisor who raised concerns about Michael Flynn and when.
You're watching Alaska's #1 news team with Maria Downey, Mike Ross, Jackie Purcell with the weather, and sports with Kari Bustamante. The Channel 2 News Hour continues.
The clock is ticking, but nothing noticeable is happening in the state capitol. Channel 2's Austin Baird joins us with a look ahead at what seems to be a slow week despite the fast approaching constitutional deadline. Austin?
Yeah, Blake, under the Alaska Constitution, the deadline for the regular legislative session to end is May 17th, and if you look at it, there could be a 10-day extension approved for lawmakers to continue working, or they could even call a special session. But you really wouldn't know there are any deadlines on the horizon if you just looked at the pace of work today here in the Capitol. Nearly all committee hearings were canceled. Nothing substantial happened during House or Senate floor sessions, and now this building is practically empty. Tomorrow, there will be an organizational meeting for the House Senate Conference Committee on the Permanent Fund Restructure Bill, SB 26. That leadership committee will try to sort out differences between versions of the bill that previously passed each chamber. A handful of meetings are scheduled for other key fiscal proposals this week, but for the most part, it's just a matter of waiting to see if House Democrats and Senate Republicans will be able to reach a compromise. Now remember, this overtime bout is not free. Lawmakers are getting $295 in per diem, which is basically daily bonus pay as long as they remain in session. Each overtime day overall cost about $30,000. That is barely a drop in the bucket compared to the state's overall fiscal problems, but still the costs are adding up, and there's no end in sight here at Juneau. Reporting from the state capitol, Austin Baird, Channel 2 News.
Thanks, Austin. And Austin will soon trade Juneau in for Fairbanks as he covers the Arctic Council meeting coming up this week.
More than 1,000 people from around the world will be in Fairbanks for the Week of the Arctic. This week, the U.S. hands over its chairmanship of the Arctic Council to Finland during ministerial meetings Wednesday and Thursday. It will be hosted at the Carlson Center. Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, as well as foreign ministers from the other Arctic nations, will be there. But surrounding that meeting, there are events in Fairbanks and Anchorage to celebrate that the council achieved so far.
In Fairbanks all week from 8 to 5, the I Am Inuit art exhibit is open at the UAF Art Gallery. On Wednesday, there's a Fairbanks community celebration of the Arctic downtown from 4:30 to 8:30. It features local bands, performances, an Alaska Native artisan show, and an Arctic business showcase. On Thursday, there's a live stream of the events as the United States hands over the council chairmanship. That's from 9 to 3 p.m. in the UAF Wood Center Ballroom.
The Anchorage Museum is also hosting a similar watch party here. It's a Circumpolar Film Festival on Friday from 8 to 1 a.m., 8 p.m. to 1 a.m., and it continues Saturday and Sunday from 9 to 6 on Saturday, 9 to 3 on Sunday. At the museum is an Arts and Crafts and Culture Expo. There's also an Arctic lawn party from 4 to 8 Saturday and an Arctic dance party from 8 to 11:45 p.m. on the roof of 5th and B Street's parking garage.
Oh, it's the second week of the Northern Edge exercises in the Gulf of Alaska and Central Alaska ranges. This exercise happens every 2 years, but this is the first year F-35 aircraft have participated, and there's an opportunity for Juneau residents to learn more about the exercise. The USS O'Kane will be in port at the end of this week, similar to how the USS Hopper visited Homer. Sailors will visit the city and do community service projects. Exercise Northern Edge ends this Friday.
And coming up Wednesday, it's Bike to School Day. More than 50 schools and facilities with the Anchorage School District will participate. It's to promote healthy habits, safe bicycling, and a cleaner environment. So as you're driving on Wednesday, be on the lookout for all those bikes on the road.
Every night through Friday, Channel 2 Sports will share the stories of these players and coaches who've made the biggest mark in Alaska baseball. Channel 2's Patrick Enslow joins us with what you can expect this week.
It began as an experiment in 1992 and since become a success. Cook-Inland Conference High School Baseball is celebrating 25 years in Anchorage. Now last week, the conference honoring its biggest names. East Trajan Langdon named the 1990s Player of the Decade, East Chad Nading for the 2000s, and South Max Carnos for the 2010s. Coaches of the decade include Service Tim Rumpfelt for the 1990s, East Tony Wiley, and Chugach Bill Learman for the 2000s, and Chugach Doug Henney for the 2010s.
Over the history of the 25 years, some teams have done better than others, but at different times, different teams were strong, and that's really the evolution of high school sports.
Throughout this week, we will profile each player and coach of the decade, beginning tonight on the late edition with East High's Trajan Langdon.
Baseball season.
It's coming. Exciting. It's a great sign of spring. Love it.
Considering herself at home, how the Alaska Zoo's newest member is settling in tonight.
Oh, she's gorgeous. And the only snow in your forecast is if you do visit that snow leopard at the zoo. Jackie has details on our week ahead and how much sunshine is in store.
Now, Channel 2 weather with meteorologist Jackie Purcell.
Good evening, everyone. I didn't get a chance to show that late last week, but those ice chunks are huge.
Wow.
And that is along the Yukon River at Eagle. Late last week, as the ice was starting to break up, thank you to Ann and Gary Millard and for sending that in. Here's a look at your current temperatures in the Anchorage metro area. It's been pretty pleasant temperature-wise. Yeah, we've had a lot of cloud cover, but we still see the sun occasionally. It's 58 degrees from the Campbell Creek Science Center, and we have 57 degrees from Muldoon, moving into Jay-Bear as well as Eagle River, 49 and cooler out for Girdwood. Well, we're going to continue to see this area of low pressure slowly slide away from the state over the next couple of days, but there will still be a trough of low pressure hanging into the interior, so there's a chance of some scattered afternoon thunderstorms. You know the seasons are changing when those thunderstorms start to fire up in the afternoon into the interior. This area of cloud cover could produce some 1 to 2 inches of snow as it gets into the Anaktuvik Pass area and the higher elevations of those Brooks Range locations. Here's a look at the current radar over the last 3 hours. Scattered showers into the interior, southwest Alaska, and then showing up here across the south central area. There's a closer look in at some of the heavier showers that might be occurring, but pretty much in between those communities. Stevens Village, just to your south, you're seeing some scattered showers, and that's rain showers. Into Fairbanks, though, pretty nice night. But you can see those showers again collecting just to their south and east. Eagle, you were the hot spot for the state today, 66 degrees, and at Kasuk down to 20 for the cold spot across the state. But it was still pretty nice. 61 for Fairbanks. That was their high temperature today, 63 in McGrath. We had the 30s and 40s across northwest Alaska, warming up to the 50s for Bethel and Dillingham, and also Coal Bay today, hitting 52 degrees. And out towards St. Paul, you were at 40. Northway hit 60 in Juneau, and Panhandle locations staying into the upper 40s and low 50s. We are going to be warming up, maybe not necessarily in the next 24 hours or even in the next 48. But this area of high pressure, I'm going to keep my finger on you because we want to push you right into the south central area. This should do a nice job of giving us some sunshine Thursday, Friday, and into the weekend even. It looks as though we're going to be seeing that nice weather. There are some flurries, some freezing fog along the Arctic coast. There will be the same for the Prudhoe Bay area. High temperatures tomorrow will be into the 20s. We'll go to the 30s around Anaktuvuk Pass. With that snowfall in the outlook, in Bettles, you'll be up into the 50s with some sunshine there. 36 in Kotzebue, winds at a northwest 5 to 15 miles per hour. Scattered afternoon thunderstorms in the interior, but it's kind of a mix. Clouds, sunshine, warm temperatures up to 62 for Fairbanks tomorrow, and the upper 50s for a lot of those other locations. In the west coast, we're going to be seeing variable winds, just 10 miles per hour, and a high of 58 for Bethel, 59 in Dillingham. It's still a little slower to warm up around Gamble, 34 for their daytime high, but sunshine, they get it a couple of days before we do as that high pressure starts to build in. The Aleutians and the Alaska Peninsula, rain showers, limited sunshine. Winds are out of the south, 10 to 25 miles per hour between Adak and Unalaska. And for southeast Alaska, partly sunny skies coming your way. Actually pretty nice weather for, yes, as we start off the week, Tuesday. We'll be seeing clouds and a few showers across the south central area and the Matanuska-Susitna Valley. Winds, not too bad, 10 to 15 miles per hour through the evening. Around Whittier, 5 to 10 miles per hour out of the east. But here is where the news gets good, if you like, warm May conditions. Sunshine coming our way on Thursday. Friday, and it looks like we're going to be nice on Saturday. Sunday, a roll around of clouds will bring us a chance of showers, one of our best chances in a while, actually. But there it is. So 1 of 6 days might give us a little wet weather coming our way. So we started watering our lawn here in the Midtown area because it was.
You did?
Yeah, because
ours
it was
is
so dry.
still really wet up there.
Is it?
And we can't walk on it because it leaves all kinds of, yeah.
I don't know if that's proper, but we did.
You'll find out if it freezes again. No.
If you're a gardener and I'm not supposed to do
Let
that, you let me know.
Okay, thanks.
Thanks, Jackie. Putting together the pieces.
The concerns raised about former National Security Advisor Michael Flynn before President Trump hired and then later fired him. She says she warned the president today on Capitol Hill. The former acting attorney general fired by President Trump testified about warnings she gave the administration concerning General Michael Flynn and his dealings with Russia. Blaine Alexander reports from Washington, D.C.
The White House pushing back against an NBC News report that 2 days after the November election, President Obama warned Donald Trump against hiring Michael Flynn as National Security Advisor.
If President Obama was truly concerned about General Flynn, why didn't he suspend General Flynn's security clearance, which they had just reapproved months earlier?
In 2014, Obama fired General Flynn, who left with his security clearance intact. General Flynn is under fire for his ties to Russia at the same time that Russia was interfering in U.S. elections. Experts say security clearances are handled by intelligence agencies, not the White House, but concerns over Flynn strong enough for Obama to raise the red flag.
Raise your right hand, please.
This as former acting attorney general Sally Yates testified on Capitol Hill, telling senators she warned the White House that Flynn had lied about his ties to Russia.
Not only did we believe that the Russians knew this, but that they likely had proof of this information. And that created a compromise situation, a situation where the national security advisor essentially could be blackmailed by the Russians.
And another pressing concern, Vice President Pence publicly defending Flynn with bad information.
We felt like the vice president and others were entitled to know that the information that they were conveying to the American people wasn't true.
Following that conversation, it took more than 2 weeks for President Trump to demand Flynn's resignation. Also testifying today, former National Intelligence Director James Clapper, who says that Russia has been meddling in elections since the 60s, but never with more success than 2016. Blaine Alexander, NBC News, Washington.
Also on Capitol Hill today, a new Secretary of the Air Force. The Senate confirmed Dr. Heather Wilson today, the first of President Trump's service secretary nominees. 2 of his Army secretary nominees and a Navy secretary nominee withdrew because of political opposition. Wilson is the first Air Force Academy graduate to have this position, and she faces numerous challenges ahead, from aging equipment to a lack of pilots, according to the Brooks Institution.
Artificial intelligence, robotics, unmanned aircraft, cyber threats, space threats. A lot of what the Air Force has done is really being called into question by the march of technology and the potential for adversaries to make it harder for us to operate the way we have in the past.
No word yet on when Wilson will take the oath of office.
North Korea is holding another American. He has been arrested, but no one seems to know why. A common denominator, both Americans are faculty members at the same university, the Pyongyang University of Science and Technology Experimental Farm. 55-year-old Kim Yak-song is an agriculture instructor, and last month, Tony Kim, an accounting teacher, was also detained and then arrested at the airport. Both are charged with committing hostile criminal acts against the country. The privately funded school was built with donations from U.S. and South Korean religious groups. The founder says he has no idea why his university is being targeted. This brings the total to 4 Americans now being held by the regime.
Liberté, égalité, fraternité.
Translation, French President-elect Emmanuel Macron says, quote, "I will serve you in the name of our motto, liberty, equality, and brotherhood." That message to supporters in front of the iconic Louvre Museum. The centrist candidate won overwhelmingly with 65% of the vote, 30% more than his rival far-right candidate Marine Le Pen. In a tweet, President Trump congratulated Macron. His aide told NBC News they were disappointed Trump didn't call. The opponent, Le Pen, was an open admirer of President Trump. She also had promised to close her country's borders and leave the EU.
The unrest in Venezuela is what's leading to a migrant crisis in Brazil. A sudden influx of migrants has led to an emergency decree in northern Brazil. The decree allows for emergency funds to help deal with the hundreds of people trying to escape what you're seeing here, the political and economic turmoil in Venezuela. Many are members of the Warhayo indigenous group who have been affected by food and supply shortages. Camps of other Venezuelan migrants are also springing up in other parts of Brazil.
Being honored in our nation's capital and by a national hero. 2 Alaskan teens are being honored in D.C. with personal congratulations by Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps, 17-year-old Adam Skelton of Anchorage, and 13-year-old Lena Robinson of Nenana received the Prudential Spirit of Community Award last night. They were among the top 100 volunteers recognized from across the country. Adam is a South High student who organized a massive book collection for remote Alaska communities. Lena, an 8th grader in Nenana City Public School, was honored for her work with her family's project called Pink, People in Need of Knowledge. It focuses on the dangers of smoking. Besides the recognition at the Smithsonian event, the students received a $1,000 award.
Congratulations, very exciting. Well, she is a snow leopard with a new place to spend her time. Find out where the Alaska Zoo's newest critter came from.
Now, stocks end the day little change. The Dow is up 5 points. The Nasdaq rises almost 2. And the S&P 500 ends the day less than a point higher. Now, here's a look at stocks of local interest. Governor Bill Walker is in Anchorage to talk about the state's fiscal situation today. From the radio to the Anchorage School Board, hear his message to residents and the legislature when it comes to the multi-billion-dollar budget deficit and how important it is to solve it now. That's tonight at 10 on the Late Edition. Plus, Patrick Enslow has your sports connection.
Tonight on the Late Edition, it's time to sign on the line. A handful of high school athletes prepare for the future, including Diamond High's Eric Jenkins signing to play basketball at the University of Alaska, Anchorage. And Bartlett essentially throwing a family gathering for its athletes, 16 of them signing their national letter of intent to play college sports. Plus, high school baseball will have highlights from Chugiak and Service coming up at 10.
Very good. And welcoming a new member to the Alaska Zoo family.
This weekend, Malala made herself at home. She's a 2-year-old snow leopard, a rare and endangered species. She came from the Wildlife Conservation Society's Central Park Zoo in New York City, where she was born.
Malala arrived Friday and is transitioning into her new home. She shares the enclosure with Nakai, the snow leopard. She's gorgeous.
She is. I'm excited.
And tonight on the 10 o'clock on the late edition, they're going to have some video and interview about her. So we look forward to that.
Even better.
Even better. And Jackie, looking out that window, it's looking gorgeous.
And that would be the trend for the weather. Even better by Thursday. We're going to be seeing mostly cloudy skies and a chance for some sprinkles, not only tonight, but on into Tuesday and Wednesday. Then Wednesday evening, it all starts. We see the skies begin to clear, high pressure builds in. We'll be seeing temperatures that'll hit the 60s around the Anchorage metro area this week. This week, we're going to go big or go home.
We're going to go big. Sunshine and rain.
60, yep.
It's wonderful for the growing conditions, too.
I know. We're going to
that
get
will
a
be
lot
coming up really soon.
more green here in the next couple of days.
That's all. Oh, look. She's gorgeous. Welcome to Alaska.